Hey guys, it's Nick, and in this video I want to talk about cryptos crashing again, Bitcoin being down more than 10%. Are cryptos falling because of the FBI news about them getting back this ransomed Bitcoin from the pipeline ransom attack? So it seems there's a lot of confusion on how the FBI did this. Some people are saying that the FBI is able to hack these encrypted keys, and that's how they got access to this wallet that had this money. So I'm going to talk about if that's possible or what is likely to have happened. So I'm going to look at the FBI affidavit and see what they say about it, and more importantly, what they don't say about what happened. Also, I'm going to talk about what just happened in Australia, where the FBI helped the Australian police nab hundreds of drug dealers by setting up a fake anonymous app that all the dealers were using and were sending all their information to the FBI. Is something like this related to how the FBI was able to get their hands on that Bitcoin? Let's take a look. The value of all crypto has fallen from about 2.5 trillion in mid-May to below 1.5 trillion now, with these recent falls in Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies. So are people selling because they're scared that the FBI now has the key to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and therefore can look up or take anybody's crypto whenever they want? The Department of Justice announced that they recouped $2.3 million of the ransomware funds by following the money, and so it has sparked widespread fears that the network had been hacked. So how they did it was they followed the address where that money was and followed all the transactions that that address made to the point where it got into, I guess, an exchange where they were able to confiscate that Bitcoin from that exchange. So let's see what they say in the actual FBI affidavit. And for those that don't know, Bitcoin has a public key and a private key. The public key is what you give to people to say, hey, send me money to this address, send me Bitcoin. The private key is like your password for that address that you need if you're going to send Bitcoin out to someplace else or to buy something. So here the FBI says they use a blockchain explorer, that is software uses an API. Basically, it watches all transactions and is able to follow them everywhere it goes. So for those that think that Bitcoin is anonymous, it really is not. And so here they say that on May 8th, the pipeline company sent 75 Bitcoin worth approximately 4.3 million to this cryptocurrency address, which they blocked out the first digits. And so the FBI watched that and watched them start sending out Bitcoins to other addresses. And so one was 0.00016993, another one was like 75 Bitcoin. And so they kept tracking it everywhere it went until it went into someplace where they can scoop it up. And so here it says, an online public blockchain explorer identified at least 23 other addresses collected together with address blah, blah, blah in one wallet. On May 27, funds from the collection of addresses totaling 69 Bitcoin, including 63.7 accessible from address blah, blah, blah. So finally, 63.7 Bitcoin was sent to this address ending in NXB, and they say that that address was in a wallet with 23 other addresses. And on May 27, funds collected from the collection of addresses totaling 69 Bitcoin, including 63.7 accessible from address NXB, was transferred to address FBI's address, subject address, and it has not moved since. The private key for the subject address is in the possession of the FBI in the Northern District of California. So what they're saying is 63.7 Bitcoins went to this wallet with 23 other addresses, and they were able to take all of the money out of the address, even more than the 63.7. They took everything in there, 69.6, and they transferred it out to an address that they control. So the huge question is, how the hell did they crack that private key to get the money, the Bitcoin, out of this wallet? Did they really crack the key, or did they force an exchange to give up the information? So I have two theories about this. The most probable one is that the money was transferred into an exchange that the FBI can subpoena or kind of threaten, or a U.S. exchange that they can go and say, hey, this is stolen money that you have here. Give us the access key so that we can confiscate it, and they had a warrant or whatever, and so they went and took it. That's most likely what happened. However, the FBI did not state that in here, and they are known, FBI, CIA, law enforcement, they're known for covering their tracks because they don't want to tip their hand to the technology that they hold that can do these kinds of things if they can crack these keys or other tricks that they have. And so an example of this is what they just did in Australia, which is pretty amazing. So here's an article that Australia busted 224 people for all kinds of drugs and other crimes, 3.7 tons of drugs, 45 million in cash. And how do they do it? By using FBI's anonymous app. And here is the app they made up called Enforce Your Right to Privacy. It's called Anom app, and it was only put on stripped down phones that couldn't actually make phone calls or other text messages. It could only be used between other people who own this type of phone. Now, how did they get a bunch of criminals to all use the same phone by the FBI? Simple, just like they get a bunch of people to buy Dogecoin or any other crappy crypto or any other kind of product. They use an influencer. And this guy, Hakan Ayik, is a very well-known criminal underworld boss or whatever. And they got him to peddle it to other people and paid him to do it. So he went and told people to buy this phone and buy a subscription to this Anom chat app that is supposed to be totally encrypted and nobody could look at it and all of that. And so all of these people fell for it, and they were sending that information right to the FBI. And the plan almost fell apart because somebody exposed it that the information from the app was going to the US. And so this guy said, stay away from Anom if you value your privacy and safety. They're comprised liars, and your data is running via USA, passed on to law enforcement and other entities. And that's exactly what happened. So senior bikies and mafia figures were tricked into buying high-tech phones that would supposedly let them message one another free of police snooping. But the Anom phones were actually designed by the FBI and allowed Australian police to read the text of organized crime figures. How did the Anom scam work? Users could buy phone handsets costing between $1,500 and $2,500 from what has been described as underground distributors. Phones were stripped down. They couldn't even make calls, access the internet, or send emails. What they did do was send encrypted messages, photos, videos using a foreign SIM card to apparently avoid Australian data snooping laws. And this is their website, Enforce Your Right to Privacy. And with any good marketing scam, they pulled out all the stops. They claimed the company was based in the famously neutral nation of Switzerland. The app was accessed by entering PIN number onto the phone's calculator, the stuff of spy dramas. And its encryption, it claimed to use OMEMO double ratchet algorithm. Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, I didn't think so. Independently audited by Dutch security research group Radically Open Security. So what does this FBI app have to do with Bitcoin? Maybe nothing, maybe something, but they may have something similar to what they did in Australia. For instance, there are something like 300 cryptocurrency exchanges. If the FBI can make this anonymous app, what's to stop them from also putting out some kind of cryptocurrency exchange, maybe with better rates or something like that, or put out in the hacker community or something that you can wash your money through this exchange very easily, they're hacker friendly or something along those lines. Maybe even get somebody who was busted to give themselves the air of authority with the other hacker community to say, hey guys, use this exchange. It's easy to, wash money, launder money through here or something like that. And the FBI, that's their honeypot, and they're getting all that information of people's keys and money going through it. And so this is not unheard of. They do this all the time. It's called kind of like a man in the middle kind of attack or parallel construction. So in a man in the middle attack, let's say you're the hacker here with this Bitcoin and you want to launder your stolen Bitcoin. You think you're sending it to some exchange and then you're going to send it to another exchange out or something like that. But maybe the FBI is one of those 300 exchanges that currently exist for crypto, and maybe they used somebody to influence other hackers, other crypto people, that this is the exchange to use if you want to launder money. You send it to us, it's anonymous, and then we send it out where you want to go and nobody could track it, blah, blah, blah. And so maybe they have something like this, and the money or the Bitcoin was sent through there, and the FBI either had access to it or is the one who set it up themselves, and therefore was able to scoop this money back up. And what they're not telling you is they don't want to give out their secrets because they still want to catch other people doing stuff like that or watch other transactions without tipping people off to this. So that they don't give up their tips and tricks and secrets so that they could continue to use them. They use something called parallel construction, where they have a parallel story of how they came about their criminal investigation, or how they cracked the key of Bitcoin or whatever. They put out one story, but the real story is something else, and they keep that under wraps. So a typical benign kind of example that they use to justify this is, let's say they have a drug informant that says some pickup truck is going to be driving through this area and it's going to have drugs in it, but the police do not have probable cause to stop this thing and look for it. So what they do is they get a state trooper that follows them and waits for the truck to make some kind of illegal thing. They change lanes without signaling or something, any pretext to pull them over, and then they get the drug searching dogs, and then they find the drugs. And so when they go to court, they don't say we used an illegal wiretap or something like that. They say, oh no, this trooper just pulled over this car. We had some suspicion. We brought the dogs and they verified, and that's how we got the arrest. And so the case sticks. Parallel construction goes back as far back as World War II even, where they cracked the Enigma machine, and they were still letting their ships get torpedoed or whatever in certain cases, just so that it wouldn't tip off the Germans that they had the information ahead of time of what was going to happen. The more nefarious use of parallel construction is where they do illegal things that is against the Fourth Amendment. They don't have a warrant, warrantless wiretaps, using stinger devices to pretend to be a cell phone tower to get somebody's information from their cell phone and things like that. Notifying the NSA or military or CIA or whoever they need to, who tracks all of the communications in the country, and getting that information and then making up a story afterwards when they're in court on how they got this information without a warrant for the wiretap. So can the US government or the FBI crack the encryption keys for Bitcoin and other cryptos? Maybe, maybe not, but if they could, I doubt they would be advertising it. They probably wouldn't even use it for such a small case like this, or if they did use it, they would use parallel construction to cover up their tracks so that not to tip their hand about what they can do. And you see, the FBI affidavit leaves out a huge gap of how exactly they got this private key to transfer these ransomware Bitcoins. It's like, we follow this coin here, 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 into this wallet, yada, yada, yada. We have the Bitcoins now. They left out the big part of yada, 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 and that wasn't by accident. It was on purpose, not to tip their hand on how they actually did it. So guys, with the price of cryptos dropping, with the FBI able to just grab Bitcoin out of wallets seemingly very easily, it might be a good time to really rethink why you own Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies and see if the promises that they have been making all these years are actually true or realistic. So just a quick overview of what Bitcoin's promise is that very quick transaction times. That is not true. It could take 20 minutes to get a transaction to buy a coffee or something like that. Nobody's going to do that. The other selling point was cheap transactions. And as Tech Lead said on his video, to buy and sell Bitcoin, you could pay 1.5% on the buy and on the sell. That's a huge spread. So transaction costs are not cheap either. They also said Bitcoin was fungible, like gold or wheat, where one piece is the same as another piece. They're interchangeable, like oil, gold. An ounce of 24 karat gold here is the same as an ounce of 24 karat gold in India. That's not the case for Bitcoin. There are so-called tainted Bitcoins that have been involved in crimes, like you saw with this ransomware thing, where they can continually track it. And if you actually get some of that Bitcoin, you might be kind of guilty by association and have all kinds of unwanted heat from the FBI or whoever for transacting in those Bitcoins. So it is not fungible. And lastly, the biggest selling point was that they said it was anonymous. And here you see it is anything but anonymous. That every transaction your wallet has done forever is there for anybody to track, particularly the FBI or any other law enforcement, IRS, or anybody like that. So think again if you really think it is completely anonymous and you can just transact Bitcoins and not owe the IRS taxes on those transactions and all that kind of stuff. So it will be interesting to see if more information comes out on how the FBI really got this Bitcoin back and to see if they arrest anybody, because I find it really hard to believe that this super intelligent network of Russian hackers or whoever they're blaming today for whatever happens in the world is so sophisticated to pull this off, and then they're so dumb to just dump their Bitcoin through Coinbase or some kind of trap of the FBI that they could just scoop it all back and then some. Not only did the FBI take back the 63.7 Bitcoin, but they grabbed another 6 just for the hell of it. So guys, I hope you like this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.